And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Up first here, we'll start with high wind warning here for the St. Lawrence Island area, northern Seward Peninsula, and for Point Hope on up toward Point Lay, including Cape Lisburne, for northeast winds gusting over 60 miles per hour. And then here off to the south-southeast down Alaska Rangeway there, winter storm warning out for some heavy snow and wind resulting in blowing snow. Reducing visibilities down to a quarter mile or less. Could see 4 to 7 inches of snow falling there tonight and tomorrow. And coming southward, high wind warning out for the Anchorage Hillside, Turnagain Arm area for winds gusting to 85 miles per hour tonight into tomorrow morning. And also a high wind warning here for Valdez, Cordova, portions of the North Gulf Coast there for high winds as well, gusting over 75 miles an hour. And a heavy snow warning out for the Klondike Highway, Haines and Skagway for heavy snow. And from there, here's the low pressure area. Stands out quite vividly here, responsible for all the warnings and advisories out here. Tracking northward at a pretty good clip here, bringing a lot of moisture with moderate to heavy rain falling across the Kenai Peninsula and especially the North Gulf Coast area during the day today. And that also pushing into the northern panhandle, north coast area with very strong winds. Montague Island has had a peak wind gust so far of 89 miles per hour and 67 miles per hour at Cordova. Otherwise, moisture pushing northward here. A lot of clouds up now spreading into the Tanana Valley, and precipitation, the former rain or snow, pushing in toward eastern Bristol Bay here. And along the western Alaska Range, much quieter conditions out to the west. As you can see, this will continue northward, and tonight we'll pull northward all the way up toward Denali Park or maybe even around Healy at around 3 or 4 in the morning. But on the chart today, 959 millibar low there in the tight pressure field, especially ahead of the front there, bringing gale and a lot of storm force winds here into the North Gulf Coast area, and pushing into Cook Inlet and Prince William Sound this afternoon with increasing winds, gale force winds there along the north coast of the Panhandle with increasing winds elsewhere, but most of the rain along the central and north coast areas. And dry and windy still here for the western Brooks Range area with a lot less wind and pretty good clear skies for the central western Arctic coast into the North Slope. Otherwise, not much going on out here to the west, a weak low with some rain and snow showers over the eastern Aleutians. And for tonight, that low tracks northward and starts to weaken here, but as it comes northward across western Cook Inlet, again up in toward the interior there, crossing the Alaska Range, that's when the winds will be the strongest tonight across south central Alaska and the North Gulf Coast. Rain heavy at times, coastal areas, mixed precipitation farther inland or higher up, and rain and wind for the southeast coast. Area snow here becoming more widespread from the eastern Arctic coast into the central and eastern Brooks Range, southwestward, right into the northern Bering Sea, down to the Pribilof Islands. So looking at rain and snow showers for the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians, and more showery, lighter wind and rain conditions for the Kodiak Island area, eventually moving into southern Cook Inlet. And for tomorrow, that low pulls to about this position over the lower Yukon River Valley or eastern Yukon Delta there. And a widespread area of light snow here occurs from the eastern Arctic coast, right across the Brooks Range through the west central interior, out across Norton Sound, and down into the northern Bering Sea. A lot drier and less wind here for the eastern Aleutians, central Aleutians as well. Some snow showers out toward Adak and Atka, but nothing significant. And really improving here across southern Alaska during the day tomorrow. Winds really coming down and precipitation ending in some areas and just leaving some scattered shower conditions behind. And then that weakening front pushing eastward there, so rain changing to showers with winds becoming much lighter for the southeast coast. And then for Wednesday, next system comes onto the chart here, just barely getting onto the chart, but the front farther to the north. Another big storm here, so wind and precipitation coming up again here for Kodiak Island with gale force winds developing from Kodiak across the Gulf of Alaska to the coastal areas of the Panhandle, especially in the afternoon hours with this high over the western Canada area. So that keeps the gradient good, but those winds will be increasing further as this low tracks northward. from Thursday or from Wednesday, this low will pull northward, making landfall, the low center making landfall somewhere along the North Gulf Coast here, western North Gulf Coast, probably midday to later in the day on Friday, the way it looks right now. Otherwise, snow here over the northern interior and some snow out over the Bering Sea down to the Pribilofs with that 992 millibar low, but the Aleutians escaping much of that with just some isolated snow showers there, and drier for the Alaska Peninsula into Bristol Bay. And for the lows tonight, coldest again, North Slope, Brooks Range out to the Arctic coast, anywhere from 15 to 30 below there. And big difference here with milder conditions, staying well above zero here for the Tanana Valley in toward over toward Eagle, 15 above for the low there, and above freezing, rain, south central Alaska, and teens and 20s there for the Copper River Basin. Well above freezing for the Panhandle, upper 30s to mid 40s for the lows, mid 30s Kodiak Island, in the 30s for the Aleutians, except upper 20s Adak, Atka, Shemya, and the Pribilofs. And for the highs tomorrow, right around zero, St. Lawrence Island, 30 for the Pribilofs. Mild day here coming up, upper 30s to mid 40s South Central Alaska, into the mid 30s for the Copper River Basin there, and cooler, but still above zero. Cooling as you head north here, but pretty good. Mid 20s for the Fairbanks area there, and for Bettles right around 14 or so, and staying a little below zero for the North Slope to the Arctic coast, and 40s for the southeast coast. Lows all above freezing for the Panhandle on Wednesday morning, and looking at Wednesday morning lows back down into the mid to upper 20s for south central Alaska as drier conditions move in, mid 30s for Kodiak Island, teens for the Copper River Basin, and we've got right around zero there from Fort Yukon westward to Ambler and Kotzebue with the below zero conditions. Of course, to the north of that, milder to the south, 20s and mid 30s all the way out to the Aleutians and the Bering Sea. And for the afternoon highs, mid 30s to mid 40s south central Alaska, and 30 to 35 Copper River Basin, and 40s, mid to upper 40s for portions of the southeast coast, and still a mild day in the central interior, teens and 20s, and right around zero for the Brooks Range, and a little below zero for the North Slope and Arctic coast.